Hello and welcome to today's daily news report where I cover all the biggest stories affecting your wallet, life, and money. You watch this channel each day because I keep you in the loop on what's really going on in Washington, D.C. with President Biden and the U.S. economy. So let's jump right in. There's a big warning I want to share with you at the end of this video, and it could be ugly, but I believe you deserve to know what's really going on, and so stick with me to the very end. The Biden administration has now officially missed their own deadline to outline proposed oil lease sales over the next 5 years. Initially, the Interior Department announced they were on track to release the 5-year plan by Thursday, but have declined to comment since missing the deadline. Republican Senate Energy member John Barrasso said in an interview, "Now Biden has failed to follow the law and prepare a final 5-year leasing plan by yesterday's deadline. That means the federal government will not offer any new offshore oil and gas lease sales this year. This is the first time in nearly 65 years this hasn't happened, which is causing some to wonder if missing the date was on purpose to avoid giving help to the oil and gas companies." So in 65 years, they've never missed the lease sales in these 5-year plans, and they just missed it. And so there's no new oil and gas offshore leasings that will happen for the rest of this year. The Supreme Court has just delivered a hard hit to Biden's green agenda. The majority ruled that Democrats overreached regarding placing regulation to cut carbon emissions. The case was based on a disagreement regarding an interpretation of the 1970 Clean Air Act. In a nutshell, the Supreme Court ruled that the U.S. EPA did not have the authority to shift power generation from one method to another that they deem is better for the environment. This will make it harder for Biden to transition the United States into a green country, as it gives fossil fuel energy providers less of an incentive to transition over to clean energy. However, some argue that green energy will continue to get cheaper, which could naturally cause oil companies to shift in order to compete in the marketplace. But this would be true capitalism, where money flows to the best ideas, not by something being forced. Now, the Federal Reserve is currently holding on to over $2.3 trillion in cash. This is an issue because the Federal Reserve now owes 1.65% interest on this money, which accounts for $141 million of interest daily. Foreign and domestic banks store their cash at the Federal Reserve, which has been deemed as an easy profit that would generate them 1.65% in interest each year. However, this is not cheap because this adds up over time and the Federal Reserve doesn't know what to do. So here's what this means. The dollar has gotten much stronger in the last 90 days as the Fed has been raising interest rates. This makes other countries that are struggling seek safety in the United States dollar, so they go out and they buy bonds and treasury bills, etc. However, it then puts a burden on the United States Central Bank to deploy that capital wisely. Right now, with everything going down and the stock market being volatile and there being a lot of uncertainty, they have $2.3 trillion that they don't know where to put safely and wisely, and so they're stuck paying $141 million in interest every single day until they figure out where to put this money. What happens is over time, this will weaken the dollar and other countries' faith in the US dollar and the United States banking system, and then they could pull all of that money out and collapse the dollar. So this really is kind of a scary situation to find ourselves in where, again, we're the best looking in an ugly contest, like I told you yesterday, but things are still really ugly. And now the dollar is so strong that it's inviting all of this new capital that they don't know what to do with. President Biden recently attended a 2-day NATO summit where he pledged an additional $800 million to Ukraine. This announcement came one day after the United Kingdom announced $1 billion for Ukraine. In a statement, Biden declared that Putin thought he could break the transatlantic alliance. He tried to weaken us. He expected our resolve to fracture, but he's getting exactly what he did not want. The new package includes offensive weapons, which is a new addition to what we have previously already sent. The West has united forces to ensure Putin fails. But do you think that Russia feels like they're winning or losing the war? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Now, Russia has retaliated by saying if they are provoked into World War III, their first move will be to take out satellites, and their next move will be to destroy London with hypersonic missiles, missiles that can travel between 3,000 to 5,000 miles per hour. That basically your defense system can't react fast enough to do anything. So, and if they take out the satellites, then London is a sitting duck, right? So they're now making this threat that if they get pulled into war, they will retaliate against London as their first target. Now, more and more, I'm beginning to doubt the Biden administration is actually working to lower your gas prices. I've given them the benefit of the doubt, but yesterday in an interview with one of Biden's top economic people, he said something that was really eye-opening, and I want to share that with you. The director for Biden's National Economic Council, Brian Deese, said the following in a CNN interview. The host, Victor Blackwell, asked, "What do you say to those families that say, listen, we can't afford to be paying $4.85 a gallon for months, if not years. It's hurting us." Mr. Deese replied, "This is about the future of the liberal world order, and we have to stand firm." So essentially, he is saying Biden and his administration are creating a new liberal world order, and they plan to stand firm on high gas prices and the goal of creating a new green energy deal. So this is super scary to me, to have an administration that seems willing to economically cripple the middle class and lower income families in the name of a goal that should be spread out over decades, but they're trying to compress it into months. So apparently this new liberal world order that we were told about yesterday plans to stand firmly on the neck of the American people until we break and accept these higher and higher gas prices, or we go green by buying electric. And as if it couldn't get any worse, Governor Greg Abbott of Texas is launching a lawsuit against President Biden and the White House. The Biden administration, through the EPA, is trying to shut down the Permian Basin oil field for violations. This oil field makes up 40% of all oil production in the United States. If this field shuts down, analysts say gas prices could overnight rise to $10 to $12 per gallon. Former EPA Chief of Staff Matty Gunnisaker said, "This is the Biden administration trying to quietly shut down and end all fossil fuels in the United States of America." Governor Abbott said if the Biden administration doesn't respond, then as governor of Texas, he will be forced to intervene in order to keep production flowing and keep these oil and gas jobs for people in Texas. He does not want to see this become the next Keystone pipeline. I mean, this is 40% of all of the gas from this one area that they're now trying to legally shut down in the courts. So you can see why the state of Texas has announced that later this year, they plan to vote on whether they will exit the United States or if they will remain. Now, billionaire Steve Forbes to this said, "Making the American people poorer has got to be the worst election strategy in world history." So, I mean, people just feel like they're being crushed under these new prices and under new debt that they're forced to take on just to keep the lights on, just to keep a roof over their head, just to keep food on the table. So this is a big warning to the American people that the White House is saying one thing to the press and doing just the opposite in the US court system. So hopefully they're unsuccessful with shutting this down, because the price of gas, I mean, like, nobody would even be able to go to work. 10, 12 bucks an hour or per gallon? It's insane, right? All right, now after 53 people died from being stranded in the back of a semi-trailer while attempting to enter the United States, 4 people have been charged with these deaths. 2 of them were closely connected to the incident and will have life in prison or possibly the death penalty. They apparently were doing methamphetamine and forgot about these people, and they all died of heat exhaustion in the back of this trailer. Now, to ensure illegal immigrants entering the country are either blocked or protected against something like this repeating itself, the governor of Texas is ordering all cargo shipments crossing in to the United States on the southern border be hand inspected to ensure there aren't humans hiding in the back that could, lose their life because of something like this. Now, this is my update for today. As I know more, I will definitely come on and share more with you. There's a lot going on. I was not expecting to read this in the news today, so this is a big warning. You need to be on the phone with your senators and your House representatives, telling them how these gas prices are affecting you. And that if they shut down these different, they're not even, no new offshore oil and gas leases for this year. They skipped the 5-year plan, which hasn't happened in 65 years. Now they're trying to shut down the Permian Basin oil fields, which accounts for 40% of all of the gasoline in the United States. We need to get on the phone with these people and let them hear our voices. Now, before you go, I just want to remind you, never, never, never link your worth to the government's policies, right? You're amazing. You have lots of worth. So I just want to take a second to remind you of that, because when you're going through hard times, it's easy to feel forgotten. It's easy to feel like the world is against you, and it's easy to forget that you have intrinsic worth. So let me just remind you of that. Hey, I appreciate you being in my community, and I will see you on the next video.